During the late 1700s, France was going through one of the most dramatic periods in its history. The French Revolution had overthrown the monarchy, political violence had shaken the country, and several European monarchies were preparing for war against revolutionary France. Out of this unstable situation rose a young officer who would eventually dominate European politics and warfare. His name was Napoleon Bonaparte. Within just a decade, Napoleon went from an unknown artillery officer to the ruler of France and one of the most famous military commanders in history. Napoleon Bonaparte was born in 1769 on the island of Corsica, shortly after the island had been taken over by France. His family belonged to the minor nobility, which allowed him to attend military school in France. At school, he trained as an artillery officer, a role that required strong knowledge of mathematics and strategy. Napoleon spent much of his time studying military history and the campaigns of famous commanders such as Alexander the Great and Julius Caesar. In 1789, the French Revolution began, dramatically changing the political and military structure of France. Many aristocratic officers fled the country or lost their positions, creating opportunities for younger officers to rise quickly through the ranks. Napoleon's first major success came in 1793 during the Siege of Toulon. Royalist forces had taken control of the port city and allowed British forces to occupy it. Napoleon developed an artillery plan that targeted key positions controlling the harbor. Once French forces captured those positions, the British fleet was forced to withdraw. The victory was a major success for the revolutionary government, and Napoleon was promoted to brigadier general at just 24 years old. 2 years later, the government faced another threat when royalists attempted to overthrow it in Paris. Napoleon was given command of the defense of the government. He ordered artillery loaded with grapeshot to fire at the attacking forces, quickly ending the uprising and restoring order in the city. The event strengthened his reputation as a decisive military leader. Soon afterward, he was appointed commander of the French Army of Italy in 1796. At the time, the army was poorly supplied and struggling. Napoleon reorganized the army and began a campaign against Austrian forces and their allies in northern Italy. Using speed and aggressive tactics, he defeated several larger enemy armies in a series of battles, including Lodi, Arcole, and Rivoli. These victories forced Austria to negotiate peace with France in 1797 through the Treaty of Campo Formio. The campaign made Napoleon one of the most celebrated generals in France. In 1798, Napoleon launched another campaign, this time invading Egypt. The goal was to threaten British trade routes to India and expand French influence in the region. French forces captured Alexandria and defeated local armies at the Battle of the Pyramids. However, the campaign suffered a major setback when the British Navy under Horatio Nelson destroyed the French fleet at the Battle of the Nile. This left Napoleon's army stranded in Egypt. Meanwhile, political instability continued in France. The government known as the Directory was facing growing criticism and losing support. In 1799, Napoleon returned to France and joined political leaders who planned to overthrow the government. That same year, the coup known as the 18th Brumaire successfully removed the Directory from power and replaced it with a new government called the Consulate. Napoleon became first consul, making him the most powerful political leader in France. In just 10 years, Napoleon Bonaparte had risen from a young artillery officer to the ruler of France. His rise was driven by military success, political skill, and the opportunities created by the French Revolution. But this was only the beginning. Within a few years, Napoleon would crown himself emperor and lead France into wars that would reshape Europe.